And today is Friday, September 11th, an anniversary date of September 11th. We're going to be going from 8 o'clock to 9:30. And trading the foreign exchange on margin carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. The high degree of leverage can work against you as well as for you. Before deciding to invest in foreign exchange, you should carefully consider your investment objectives, levels of experience, and risk appetite. The possibility exists that you could sustain the loss of some or all of your initial investment, and therefore you should not invest money that you cannot afford to lose. You should be aware of all the risks associated with the foreign exchange trading and seek advice from an independent financial advisor if you have any doubts. This is a live trading room. It is for educational purposes only. No financial advice or recommendations will be provided. Any trades taken during this live session is not a recommendation or suggestion that you should also do the same. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Do not trade money you cannot afford to lose. And before trading live, always operate with a written trade plan that identifies rules for entry, exit, targets, and risk management. Now that we got that out of the way, let's go to the charts. And right now I'm looking at the US yen. We had an alert on the US yen at 5:30 this morning, so it's been a little while. Let me see if there's any new alerts coming up. I should have checked the calendars, see if there's any red folder events. Today's pretty quiet for red folder events, so that's good. And we're going to go to our, see if there's any new alerts. We had an Aussie US at 7:15. We'll go and we'll take a look at that. But right now we're looking at the Swiss, and the US yen is what I've got on the kind of mapped out here. So we'll start with the Swiss. That's one that seems to be breaking, or excuse me, the US yen. I'm on the US yen. And I drew the wedge from this one. We had the alert at 5:30 this morning, and I took it from a pivot high back here at yesterday at 2:25 in the afternoon. Actually, well, let me get on my 15-minute chart. Let's make this 15-minute here. And we started it was an ascending wedge, so I started way down here at this pivot low, back around yesterday at 8:15 in the morning. Pivot high. Here's the hit, and then looking for the other secondary. Here's the anchor. Here's my hit, and actually I can move this up now to this area right in here. I'll just sort of tuck that in right there. We did have a little bit of a break. Here's the hit. And we had it, and I took it right into this blue candle, went up, and right now we're getting the breakout of the to the downside of this thing. And so I'm looking to see it. I want to see it close, break the wedge, and I want to see it close. I'm going to use. So this one's a tough one here. Let's see.
Yeah.
This one's kind of tough. Not a lot of, actually, it's pretty much, here's the last pivot low before the break. You can pretty much just use this big blue candle right here. This was an impulse. This was a extended range candle, came up. That's where it started. And this is right now we got the close right where it broke the wedge. We have the close below this blue candle. So I'm so good. So this is almost right when it breaks. You're good to take this trade. I'm short on it now already. I got in a little bit earlier off of the secondary wedge, which is this one up here. I'm just going to erase that since we're done with that one. And we're looking at pretty much a target of this area right in here. And if we look for our range on this is short position. So if we can get in right about now, we can get our 7 pips, should be right in this area. Here's our 7 pips. So it brings us right down in here. So if it comes down into this area, we should have our 7 pips. If we got in, say somewhere, anywhere in the middle of this box, we should be able to, if you can get filled anywhere into here, you should be able to please get our 5 pip target down here if it breaks. If it breaks and closes above, my stop is going to be up around this area. Here's a nice series of red candles. Here's a little drop. Here's a little basing drop. So I'm going to put my stop somewhere up. If it closes above this red candle, this series of red candles, this is my visual stop. Hopefully it won't get that way, but that's up around, so that's within our 7 pip range. And so that's what we have right now on the US yen. Right now it is going short. And we'll see if we can get our target. And let's take a look at the US Swiss. You can see this thing has been given a little bit of a challenge this morning. Here is the alert at 6:15 this morning. I'll go to 15-minute chart so we can see what we're doing here. And I took it from here's the alert. I took a series of, it was a descending wedge. So I started my A up top. I found a trend line where that would hit a midpoint. So we have the anchor. Here's the middle hit. Here's the third hit. And if it comes back, if it breaks up, we're looking at a zone from the C. Oops, where it goes to somewhere around in this area. I like to see it close in this area. Here's our red candle that we're using for the reference. So if it breaks the trend, I want to see it close in that blue area. And from here, if I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom, I have a secondary wedge, which we'll talk about that in a minute. Here's the bottom of the wedge. Come over here, and I want to see this one. Basically, as long as it closes below this blue candle here, I think we'd be okay. I look for, let's try this one, see what this one looks like. How far is this one away? That one's pretty far away. 80, yeah, that's almost a full move away. So basically, if we get to close, if we get a close inside this area, actually any close below this blue candle, you're good. That's what I'm looking for. Let's close inside this area. Because I want to see it close below this blue candle. So it breaks the wedge. You have a little bit of a gap here. Close below this blue candle, which is our last hit. And that would be time to enter on the downside. Right now it's in the middle of everything, and it's just going back and forth. It's building some other wedges in the process. If you look and see where we had a strong move up, and it's just been, it's somewhat range, but nice move, and it's range bound right now inside this area. So this is actually a new secondary wedge. We have a high, we have a low, a lower high, a higher low, and we don't know where this is going to be, so I'm just going to bring these both these lines together at the end to where I have a straight line here and a straight line here. Looks like it's trying to break out of the top. But we still have to get, I'd like to see it close above this. Oh, the moving averages are starting to consolidate. If I go to my 1 minute chart, we are getting to have the moving averages just cross. We broke above here. This thing could very well be going to the upside.
Hey Al, while you're explaining the secondary wedge, Christine has a question about it. Is the new strategy tweak to make a secondary wedge, then enter if breaks secondary?
That's a aggressive move, Christine. I've been doing that just because it's given me a little bit earlier entry, but I also get stopped out a little bit more because of it. So it's sort of like pick your poison on that one. A lot of times what happens is you'll get, because if we can get a little wedge in the middle here and it can come out, if you can get that break, and like right now I'm looking at, I want to see a close. Now this thing, probably like to see it close more above this pivot right here, since it's the kind of the secondary. So if I have to see right here, and I'd like to see a close somewhere above, I think I'll have to use this one right here. It broke the wedge, and I want to see if it closes inside this area, we may be looking for it to go up higher. And then right now, so then I'd have to be looking at, but I don't really have, I have the high, the low, the lower high, higher low basing, but it's been just pretty much going sideways. So it's really hard to, so right now, and this is where you start getting whipsawed a little bit if you're not careful. That's why I don't give this a lot of room. But right now I want to see this, I would have to see this thing close and start actually trending to get up to this area up here. And if we do get a close inside here, then the target, what's going to happen is you would maybe get in here, you might be able to get your 7 pips before you even get up to the top of this. But right now, this thing is really, if you look at this, where the wedge is, you're really looking at a area, and this price is right in the middle of this range here. So if you're looking at a, let me just do this. If I look between where what my CD range is, you can see that if I draw a straight Fibonacci line to see where we are, assuming basically what you're doing is we're going sideways inside this range. And so what I'm using is I'm using this area right in here. Let's draw right over top of where the alert was to here. And we're actually, you can see right now we are sitting right in the middle of this 60-38 area. And so right now we're right smack dab in the middle of everything. And it's not really giving me any real clear, and this is where you can get really beat up a lot if you're taking trades inside this area, because you really want to see it break out of this region. And I'm just going to take this one off because it's really just going sideways inside this very narrow range. And we're only talking 96 to, we're only talking a 6 pip range that's been going on for the last, from let's say 7 o'clock to, for the last hour and 15 minutes, it's been pretty much trading inside this small range here. I'm going to call this this is my mid range here. So right now I'm going to see a break out of this before I'm going to do anything more. I'm in this trade already, but I'm not going to do anything until it breaks out of here. I am short. I favor me to the short side, but we'll see what happens. But that's where you could you kind of look and see where it is in the scheme of the main area of your CD range, and you can see like you're right in the middle. This is the upper 25%. And down here is your lower 25%, which should be right in here. This is just a straight Fibonacci. So make this our demand zone. And you can see here, this is where we are right in the middle of everything. I'm just going to take all this off so it cleans that up a little bit. And that's why you have to be really careful. I mean, you had a nice little pull up, pull back down, but it's just trading inside this region right in here. I would have to see a close below this little candle here before I would want to do anything more to it. If I can get a close below this candle, then I think we're going to be at least retesting the demand zone here. Then once that breaks, if it does break, we've got pretty much clear sailing all the way down to this point right in here. So this could be a nice, if it does break to the downside, this could be a nice little move right in there. I'd probably take it to the bottom of this wick right here. And this would be the target zone if it breaks. If this can break down here, I would be looking at this as being the target. How's our Swiss trade doing? Still hanging in there, or and this would be the.
Actually, there's a question in the Q&A. I'm not sure if you answered this. I left my desk for a few minutes. Christine was asking, what was your entry price?
I will See if I can answer that here. And just my entry on the Swiss. My entry on the Swiss was at 90.89.
Does that answer your question, Christine? Was that what the trade you were talking about? Yes, perfect.
Okay, good. Any other questions? However,
The yen broke.
to the downside, hopefully.
Yep,
Yeah, it's moving.
it's going
There we
down.
go. There we go.
Woohoo!
Finally, my trade for the day.
Yeah,
I
hopefully.
know, I've been
Yeah.
waiting for a long time.
And we
Yeah,
should,
me
yeah,
too. I
we're
missed
getting a little bit
several
of
this morning.
we may get a little bit of a bounce right in here. Here's our green fib line, so be careful. So I would expect to maybe bounce off of this a little bit, but if we can get a close below this candle right over here, if we can get a close below that, then we should be okay.
Ooh, that's a 15-minute fib line. That's strong indeed.
On the yen, I've got the fib line on the with this fib tool. I use a 5 minute because on the 2 minute with the yen pair, the 2 minutes are about half the distance. So in the yen, I'm just using the 5 minute. So basically, rather than being 7 pips, it's probably about 11 pips or
Yeah.
between these. I just like the it's not quite as that's just by the nature of the yen pair.
But
Because
what
it's a
I've
little
been
different price.
noticing, oftentimes the 5-minute fib lines will correspond with the 2-minute fib lines.
You'll find out that a 5 minute fib line is the same as a blue area.
Is a blue area indeed.
Yeah, and a no matter, and on the 15 minute, any line on the 15 minute is going to be a blue line on the 5 and the 2. That's why the 15 minutes are so valuable and so strong. So this is working out very nicely, and it looks like the Swiss is still hanging in there. So we'll see. We'll see if it gets a little bounce off of here. So here's my target. I'm looking at this series. We need to get a close below.
Yen got quite strong overall.
Yeah, I want to see it close below this little wick right in here. See it bounce right off of that.
Yep.
It's coming up to retest the wedge. It's retesting this box here where we got in. So we had the break of this coming up to retest this area. I'll probably retest the bottom of the wedge, possibly. The Swiss is doing pretty much the same thing right now. In our Swiss chart, right now it's still hanging in this area. Let me see if I can get 1, 5, 15. Yep. Put the 5 minute chart up on here since we're already in this. So I want to see this thing break out of here. But I'm going to put a little alert on here. See if I haven't done this for a while. Let's try this. See if these alerts work for me still. And alert. Crossing, create, and I'm going to add another alert down here. And we'll see if it directs me to that when it comes in. Let's go this back to the Swiss. And we'll see how this is playing out. So right now we had a nice little break, got the close, broke out of that. It's testing this area right here. It came right down into that, and so there's enough buyers coming in right in this area. Now we'll see if this thing breaks back up into the wedge. I'll probably just get out of this thing. But we are looking at, see where our, whoops, wrong one. Let's try this again. And we're looking to see our strength meter, which is showing that the Swiss is strong by 3, by 4, or excuse me, not the Swiss, the yen. The yen is strong by 3, strong by 4, and strong by a pullback here. So right now I'm looking at this as just a pullback. All of our moving averages are in the, we don't have the flip on the yellow and we're just now getting the flip of the 13 and 62 on the 15-minute chart, as well as on the, what was it? Whoop, wrong chart here. 5-minute. We have everything's the right direction on the 5-minute. Everything's the right direction on the 1 minute. It's coming back. It's testing the zone. This could be another area, nice area to possibly take it short again. But we're going to wait and see if it closes. If it closes outside of this area. If this area can hold, we should be good for another little run down to this area, to the target. Get the close outside of that box there. Let's see if we can make another run for this, our target area down below here.
So Al, just for curiosity's sake, if you were to take a second short on this, would you use the same position size or would you change it?
I keep the same position size. Because what I'll do is, in fact, I just took another position up here. I can't really do it on the Wanda because it just doesn't let me take that many positions, but I took another position here. Now when it gets down here, I'll take one or two positions off, and then I'll just see if I can let the other one run.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I try and keep at least, I try and take, when I get to the target, I try and take the first target off, at least one off. I may take both of them off and then just let one run. If it pulls back to another area in other words, like if this moved down here, came down and I would probably taken both positions off. If it came back up here, I put one back on, then just let it run. This case, I had two positions. I didn't take any one off. I added a third one when it pulled back here, but my stop's going to be very tight. I'll probably move my stop, be sure to move the stop above this purple 5-minute area. And now when it gets back, if it gets here, I'll probably take two positions off, and then I'll just let the last one I put on up here, I'll let run. If this thing comes back up, and it could very possibly take stop me out, but I would be looking at my stop is still. I could probably move my stop down to just above. I'll probably use this candle right here. I like to keep it above, out of harm's way above this. If I get a close above this 5-minute 62, then I may be considering getting out of the trade, but it'd be somewhere between there and if this thing reverses, I'd probably want it to be, I'd be looking at some sort of a moving average crossover and then to close inside this area. If I get a pullback and it closes inside this area, I may consider just getting out of these things.
Christine is asking if your multiple positions are on LCMFX, or are you, but your singular positions on a Wanda, like your multiple?
Yeah, I can pretty much with a Wanda. It doesn't really allow me to take multiple positions. Plus, with the Wanda being a U.S. broker, it does a first in, first out type of thing. In other words, like the first position I take, I've got to close out before it allows me to close out the second position. So all my live trading, so on the demo, pretty much all I can do with this is just take a position to show you on the demo. Anything you see on here is demo. And that's because of the one is what gives me the feed. But I can only trade with U.S. brokerage rules. So will you see me take a double position? In order for me to take a second position, I'd have to take, all I could do is pretty much mark it with, for example, like I could take a short here, but I couldn't take 25,000 units. I'd have to take like a 1,000 unit. and then I could sell it. You'll see where I've got it here, but I can't close this one out until I close this one out because it's the first, because this is the first one in. So I got to close this one out first.
1,000 units, is that 1,000 lot size?
No, that's like
Oh.
a
Oh.
0.01. That's like a 0.01 lot is what that is.
Okay.
25,000 units on a wand is basically like a 0.25 lot size.
All right, because I was thinking, wow, he must have a huge account.
No, well, you know what's interesting is with this demo account, my demo account is basically it's a $50,000 demo account, and I can't take two positions at 25,000 units. I can't take 2.5 with a Wanda. It won't let me take it.
Or that's okay.
And so I mean, even with a large account, it doesn't allow you to trade, and that's why I won't trade the forex with the U.S. broker for that very reason. And that's not just the
Personally,
Wanda.
I'm very satisfied by LQD FX, Liquid FX.
LQDFX.
Yeah. Most of my team members are also with that broker. This is not advice, of course, just a personal opinion. But
I know
it seems.
I know that is
Go
one
ahead.
that has. I know a lot of the people with Auvoria Prime use that one. I do know that's one that has been mentioned before. So right now this thing still is working fairly well. How's my Swiss doing? Swiss is still just hanging in there. But look at the Swiss. Hasn't broken through either one of my zones. It's trying to break through the top here.
It's really ranging.
Yeah. If I get close above here, I may have to get out of this position. Now the dollar is strong on the 5 minute by 3, and so that's not good for a short. My moving averages seem to be crossing over, so all my moving averages are in the position to go long. And the Swiss overall is gaining strength on the higher time frame on the 4-hour chart. It's right in the middle of the pack. Still right, big battle going on with the Swiss and the U.S. Same way down here. It's all, they're pretty close. They're kind of fighting for last place is what they're doing. The yen is getting stronger, which is good for our short. And here on the 15-minute chart, the yen is the number 6, so that's good for our short as well. So we're happy with being short on the yen. Right now I'm looking at a 5-minute chart so we don't get ourselves, but all of our moving averages are good. And right now we can pretty much just follow this yellow 13. As this thing breaks down, we should be able to, if this becomes a really strong move, this yellow 13 moving average on the 5 minute should hold. And we shouldn't be, our stop shouldn't be challenged at all with the 62. And so we wait. I am not liking what I'm seeing with the Swiss. The Swiss is one of these that could just go on up and give us a little head fake to the upside, then break down too. Depends on whether or not the dollar becomes weaker overall or not. If the yen goes short, it could be a lot of it is because the dollar weakness. In this case, it's probably more because of yen strength.
Ryan's short the yen also, the U.S. yen. He's saying.
Yeah, this one could turn into a nice little trade here.
Yeah, he got in at 106.14.7. Actually, my second one is 106.14.2. The first one is higher than that. I did a double as well for a change. It's been working its way though for quite some time. When did this alert come in?
It came in at 5:30 this morning.
Wow, so 3 hours.
Yeah.
3 hours I've been watching this thing.
Yeah, this one's hasn't been real accommodating.
As long as it's steady.
And the Swiss bear is starting to break out, is breaking out of that range on the Swiss. I'm going to get an alert here pretty soon, just a few minutes here. But I need to see a close. I want to see a close above this candle right here. So actually, here's our secondary wedge. So we had the top of this, bottom. I want to see a close above. Here's our lower. Now, if it makes a higher high, it's going to be the break coming up to retest the top of the wedge. It's already tested it once. I should have gotten an alert. Why didn't we get the alert? Maybe because we're sitting out here. I wonder. There's the alert. Okay, yeah, I guess it has to be, actually I should have crossed the line. I can't have the line out here.
Wow, the yen just made a huge move back inside of it wedge and then wicked way out of it again.
Yes, it sure did, didn't it? That might be, that was, well, we don't like that.
Nope.
No, we don't. Yeah, the U.S. had a burst of strength there for a second.
Looks like it's bouncing off the 5 minutes 62 a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. It's we've got. Let's see, where is the? We did get the cross of the 15 minute 62. So we're still trying to get this crossover of the 13 and the 62 right here. We're trying to get that crossover, get that yellow one to cross over the orange one. There's a little bit of a battle going on in there.
That 5 minute candle still has 2.5 minutes to go before it closes.
There's the bottom alert on the Swiss. I might have to. May have to take the stop on the Swiss here.
Swiss might go long outside of the wedge.
Wow.
The yen is indecisive right now.
Yeah.
I have to be patient with the yen. And the Swiss is.
I'm still confident to stay in my yen trade for now.
If we get a close above on the right now on my Swiss trade, if I get a close 91.03, if we get a close at 91.03, I'll have to evaluate.
I took a quick look on my bags account and seems like there's a huge resistance zone where he's at right now, so might still break to the downside.
The Aussie's also trying to break to the downside of my wedge anyway.
Patience.
Yeah, patience. This is one reason you need to kind of give enough wiggle room, because they'll do those little spikes like that.
Yeah, dollar yen's just battling for the strongest at the moment. Such a huge VIX on that last 5 minute and 1 minute candles.
I just got into the Aussie US.
Short.
Yes.
Be careful of the 62 on your 15-minute chart. Be careful of the 72.85 area.
285.
I would expect to bounce off of that.
Swiss 50-minute looks like the 62 is trying to cross.
Yeah.
And
if it breaks to the top of this, so basically it's coming out of this. This is the 25% range area. Remember I drew that 20 upper 25 and lower 25. So this is a supply zone right now. So it's got to break through. It's got to get a close above this candle right here. We could need a close above this candle.
My entry on close on a Swiss is between 91.06 and 91.09.
That would be about right. That would be about right.
Al, just out of curiosity, you said that to be careful of the 72.85 on the Aussie.
Yes.
Why? Why would you say that?
Because that's the 60 on the 15-minute chart. That's the 15-minute 62 moving average.
On mine, it shows 72.94 for the 15-minute. Am I using different settings than you, maybe?
Well, you shouldn't, but that's possible. That should be the exponential moving average. 62 exponential moving average.
Yeah, I've got 62 on my 15, and it's showing as 72.94.
Are you sure you have exponential as opposed to simple or simple moving average? Are you using the?
It just says precision default. It doesn't.
Yeah, you may want to double check to make sure you're using the exponential.
I think I'm probably using a different indicator because I don't have that option.
I actually also have written down 2 questions, Al, but maybe it's better that I ask them when there's a better time for this, as we're managing these trades.
Yeah, we'll wait and see how complicated is your question, I guess.
Well, I have the indicator, the whole moving average 20, but I actually don't really know yet how to read it.
I think it's I think it should be a 21 if for the whole. Pretty sure they're 21 moving averages.
I've just changed it.
Yeah, the whole should be 21. And basically, it's the same. It looks the same as a regular moving average. The only difference is that when the moving average goes from a long position to a short position, when it hooks over, it changes colors.
No. Okay.
So basically, it says that the peak is passed on the 5-minute chart, like on these. The top one's the 5-minute, the bottom one is the 1 minute. And basically what it's saying is that if you had an exponential moving average, if you had the moving average on your graph, you'd have a curve, and once it curved over, it would change colors to the red to go short, and it's green going up, red going down. And that's what that is.
It seems like I don't have the color changing whole moving average.
If it's a hull, that should change colors, or else it wouldn't be that'd be just a regular exponential moving average.
Yeah, I'll search the right one when there's time for that. The Cien is really going all over the place.
Yeah,
it is.
it is.
It doesn't know what it wants to do.
It's still staying below it wicked up into the wedge. It's still staying below. Now it's seeing if it's going to break below the bottom here. It's back into our area that we're looking at to take it short.
Yep. I think maybe after these few moves, when it will finally break, could it be that it will be a pretty substantial move, more than 7 pips probably?
It's very possible. Yep. Looks like it's trying to break again.
Come on. Go Japan. Go Japan. Go Japan.
Do you think it hears you, Ruben?
Right now, the yen is still showing marginal strength to the dollar. Right now, they're both kind of fighting for first place. No.
Wow. These wicks.
Yeah, it's pretty wicky, huh?
Yeah, it's very wicky.
Yen is wicked today.
And I think that Swiss came right on up into that supply zone, and is finding some problems closing above that. Came right up to 109.02, and then it's falling, then started to fall off.
1 minute, it's right in between the 5 and the 13 EMA. Wonder what that will give.
Probably get a little bit of confirmation about 9 o'clock. We'll probably get something going on here.
At this point, I'll take any kind of action.
It's very, very wicky.
I'm sorry, Christine, I didn't see your question. My entry on the yen is 106.152. Oh, I'm not in USHAV yet.
And I got stopped out on the U.S. Swiss. It did take it. It didn't get to my target, but the spread took me out. So I wait.
Wow, these Fridays, eh?
No, I remember I haven't had this much trouble on Fridays. I think once the U.S. market opens up, I think it stabilizes a little bit. But right now, they seem to be all over the place. So right now, I believe this is a key area right in here. I mean, there's a lot of wicks coming in and out of this area, but a lot of basing. So once we get a confirmation close below, and right now you can see this 5-minute 5-period EMA came right up to the yellow, but it couldn't even cross the yellow, and came right back. It's starting to curve right back down again. So that's a good sign for this thing to still stay short.
EMAs are in the right order now, indeed.
Needs to get a close, and right now we need to get a strong close below here, and then it'll probably keep on coming down. This is a little. If you look at this, you have a little bit of a trend line from here. And I'd like to see it close below. Let's see. I don't want to draw too many boxes here, but I'm looking at the lowest close along this series. So I'm going to see it close inside this area right in here. The fact this one came up so strong and got rejected, that's a good sign that this thing's going to go short. It's having a hard time closing above these. You got a lot of bodies in here, a lot of wicks outside of it. So we get a close in this area, and we'd probably be looking at going long. So basically what we're looking at this area, we're looking to go long if it closes inside this region. I'll make this one green. And if this one, I would say we go short if it goes in this area.
Ryan's saying that the Dixie's got a lot of strength this morning.
That would be short for the S&P then, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's what we're looking at here. If we get it closed in this area, I'm going to switch and go long. If I get it closed in here, I'll switch and go short. Or I'll continue my short. But this will be my stop. If I get it closed in here, I'll take myself out. Still looking at dollar weakness. The U.S. WIS went right up into that area, took my stop, and now it's reversing back again. So I think that this thing could possibly be going short as well.
That would be nice.
Yeah, Ryan, let's hope that now that we're all in shorts on this one, that before it goes long on the US yen, we hit our targets, hopefully.
If they do break, they could break quite a ways.
I mean, it's trying.
Yes, I do believe that this would be the target. If it can break, it's going to be the target right down in here. I thought I had a target set here.
This is a candle I like for now.
And we wait.
Do what we do best.
Yep.
Oh.
If anybody else in the room has any questions, just raise your hand. I'll turn your mic on. We're going to call this Open Mic Friday. So if you have any questions, you can just put your hand up and I'll turn your mic on. Christine, there you go. I knew Christine would have a question. I can always count on Christine. Yeah, you should. There you go. Go ahead, Christine.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
That's a good thing.
I just, I just wanted to know, like, I'm trying to just figure out the newer, like when you're putting a wedge within the wedge.
Uh-huh.
Are you always doing that now and then trying to get your earlier entry? Or is it provisional, like,
I say it's provisional. I'm just showing. I mean, I've been doing it myself more often than not anymore. I'm not advocating or I'm not necessarily advocating people do that. What I've found is that when I drew the wedge, I usually draw the wedges fairly liberal, so I have a pretty good range inside the wedge. And so And usually my primary wedge is usually going to be orange.
Yes.
My secondary wedge, I'll usually change colors. It'd be white or yellow. Primarily it's yellow. But
Mhm.
what I do is, because I've been seeing that there's a lot of times there's a lot of good movement inside the wedge, and I see where the moving average is, especially on the 1 minute chart, we'll see they will start to flip over inside the wedge. And that just gives me that extra couple pips to get, because if the wedge does get broken, a lot of times it allows me, oftentimes I can just about get my target before I even get to the wedge. And then if
Okay.
it does break the wedge, like it normally does, a lot of times what we were seeing is we get it come down, break the wedge, we get in the trade, we get about 3-4 pips, reverse, and then go to the other side.
Right.
And what this would do, it was allowed me that extra couple pips to be able to reach my target on the break. And then I could reevaluate to see if it's going to continue down or if it's going to reverse on me. And so I've been doing that a little bit more regularly. I'm not advocating people do that, but I'm
No, I
finding
understand.
it gives me that little bit extra added entry, that little earlier entry to be able to take advantage of the break when the wedge does break,
Mhm. Okay.
or at least to preserve some profits before it reverses on me.
Right.
And so I've also been looking at having where I have my pivot low, which in this case, this was probably the pivot low right down here. So when this thing broke, I want to see it close. I'm looking for a blue candle somewhere inside this wedge. I want to see it actually close below. In this case, it's going to be this one right here. I would be looking at, I want to see that break the wedge, have a little bit of a gap for the wedge. Because a lot of times you'll see, like, even like this blue candle right here, it came down, closed. It kind of tagged this, but it couldn't close below it, then went right back up into the wedge. This one came down, closed inside this region, which a lot of times I figure just look and see if, this was pretty much the same spot right here. And this blew right through, came back, really retired. This was a strong wick right here. That was an abnormality, I would call it.
Mhm.
But as long as if we can get it closed below this blue candle or this region right in here, then there's a good chance that this thing is going to hold. Then the wedge will hold, and then we can get our target. And it came down very close to our green fib line, and then it retraced. So right now it's still sort of fighting this whole area right in here.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and actually, actually in this case, I look kind of like this one right here, where as this thing slopes away, you get a little bit more of that gap, and then this is the close. This is probably more the close. This one right here, which is because the wedge was broken, couldn't hold it, and then after this wick on this one, if I can get the close inside here or below, then that's a good trade. Then that's a good entry, and then you just take your shot at it.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you.
I'm trying to find a significant candle where it closes below a blue candle outside of the wedge. It's got to do both. It's got to close outside the wedge. And so that's why I kind of like this blue candle over here, because that's really the one that's, but by the time it actually breaks, let's see, this was a candle that couldn't close below. So then I can use this as the bottom of it. And I can use that candle because it came down, broke the wedge, came down, couldn't close below this point right here. But now I can get the close below. Strong move down, got the close, and it helps to validate the trend line. Like I said, this was an abnormality. I'm not sure what caused that. That may have been a news announcement or who knows what. The Swiss is finally starting to break down again.
Are you in the Swiss, Al?
Well, I got stopped out, and then when it bounced off that supply zone, I got back in again short.
Yeah, I didn't even get into it.
Yeah, it
Oh,
went right up. It went right up into that supply zone. Couldn't close above the that one red candle of that supply zone. Here, I'll show you what I'm looking at.
Okay.
Here's a supply zone that we drew. Remember, you drew that Fibonacci range with the top 25% and
Yeah.
the lower 25%. It came right up into that, but it couldn't close above this candle right here.
Yeah.
It couldn't close above that one. It closed above, it broke into the zone, but it couldn't close above this area right in there. So then once I got this once I got the blue candle and then the red one, I got back in again. And now I'm just barely, I'm profitable, but not by a lot. And I'm looking to come down and maybe retest this area here. So it's just basically a lower high. It's still kind of testing this area. From this low break, it made a higher high. Now it's making a lower high. Right? I'm not trusting this one very much.
So are you in it long or short? I see on here.
I was short. I was short on this one. I got short, and actually I just closed this out as it's retesting the bottom of this wedge here.
Okay.
So right now it's making a higher high. It actually made a higher high. Here's a high, here's a low, higher high, higher low right here. So it's starting to trend to the upside. Now the question is it going to, I'm looking for my third hit. Remember, we look for 3 hits.
Right.
The anchor, the midline, and then the hit. It came right back down into this mid-range, now starting to pull back up again. Yeah, the hook down here on the RSIs. This is sort of like now you're kind of playing with fire a little bit in here. So I'm just going to bide my time, wait and see if it can break to the top of this. It's got to break through the supply zone, then it could go higher. And if it does, I'm looking at it going all the way to this area up here.
That would be a nice one.
Right. So this would be my target zone right up here. If we get the break up in here.
Alan, your entry was 9094 on that?
To go short was about 901. Let's see, where was the entry here? My actual entry. Let me look and see. 9096 was my actual entry. It came right back out. It went up to 9104 because it stopped me out by the spread, and then I got back in when it closed below the 92, but the 9100 area. But now it came right back down to where it left. It's coming, retesting this area. So I don't know what this thing's going to do, to be honest with you. So I think I'm going to stop trading it. It's not behaving properly. Swiss is still all over the place, but it's still hanging in there.
The yen, you mean?
Or the yen, rather. And the Aussie, we had the Aussie trade, and that remember I told you about the 62 here. Just, you see it came right down there, bounced off of it. Let's see where our moving averages are on this. It has a nice big move down. It's formed a little bit of a flag here. This could be one of those drop-based drop things, but this thing's flattening out. So that's a good sign that it could punch through that. And if it does, we're probably looking at somewhere down around this area. But it's not going to be a clear shot. This will probably be the first place right here where you have a problem with it, if it can break through that 62 area.
But where do you get your indicators, your MMAs that you have up there?
Well, that's the one you're going to be getting here shortly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the one that I have that's available to everybody on TradingView.
Well, you should still be able to find it. The one the normal one on TradingView should still be it just be moving average exponential. That's all it is. That's a TradingView one.
Well, I have the trading view one, and my values are different than yours.
You have the exponential.
I have, it's called the DEMA.
Well, try calling the pull up the one that says moving average exponential, and then put the 62, 5, and 13 on that one.
Yep, that's the one I'm using as well.
Yeah, you got to use the exponential if you to get the same results. And you don't have to use it, but
So why would they differ?
I don't know what a DEA is. I don't know.
I don't know either. That's the only one that came up for me that was doing what I wanted it to do.
Just go into the public library.
Mm-hmm.
Go to PC. I think it goes PC dash. Let me see here. There's a search. PC space dash, and then moving average. V ing. Oh, maybe it's
No, I don't have it coming up.
No, you just have to type exponential moving average, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see.
exponential and
Moving average exponential. That's what you should type.
And there you go. You can probably just do this one. May do the exponential.
There, the built-ins. It's the third one from above.
Right here, yeah.
Yep.
So mine comes up as EMA, not MMA. But yours is a different one altogether.
Well, EMA is exponential moving average.
So I have to open that one 3 times. Is that right?
Well, this one, you may try this one. Exponential and simple triple moving average. I'm not sure if that's but if you just go with the moving average exponential and then just do that 3 times, then you can put them all on.
Okay.
And then hopefully in another couple of days you'll be able to get these others.
Okay, I'll give that a try. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, you want the exponential moving average on that if you want it to look like mine.
I have a feeling, I don't know, it's starting to look like the dollar and the yen are just preparing for the weekend. They're both losing strength. On the 5 and the 1, that is. And
the fact, I mean, this has a huge, this is very, very wiki in here.
Yeah.
And that's usually a good time just to kind of stay out of it until you get, and it's just, there's just a lot of buyers and sellers that are just, taking their positions. Not a great area to be trading in. If you're in the trade, you can hang tight with it because eventually it's going to break and be decisive. But I still think it has room to the downside, as does the Swiss.
Well, I believe that too. And on the 15, we have a 2 spread by now, with the yen being the strongest.
The 15.
Oh, it just flipped again.
Yeah, it's yen is still strong by 1 or 2. It bounces back and forth. And it's still favoring the yen. So nothing real decisive here. The Swiss is not quite as wiki as that one is. It looks like this thing's trying to break out of the bottom. We came up, tested this one. It could come down and test. Remember we were saying that this thing is the range that's been trading in between the D and the C. It's been in the middle of that, and it came up, tested that. It's probably going to come down and test this. From here, 91 to, you got about 7 pips. And do we have a crossover of the 1 minute? We have the crossover of the 1 minute. Here's the bottom of the box. Could have closed below this. We could probably take it short and see if we can get a couple pips before it comes back down into this area. But right now it made a lower high because my trend line starts sliding down, so it's got made a lower high. And now let's see if it's good. Now we'll probably make a higher low if it bounces off of this. If it can break through here, then it's going to go lower.
All right. The yen has a short candle forming with no wick so far, which is
Okay.
kind of nice. Hmm.
And the Swiss is dropping. U.S. Swiss is dropping along with this. That means that the dollar must be getting a little bit weaker here.
Still fighting though.
We have about 15 more minutes before the U.S. market opens up. So that's probably where we're starting to get a little bit more of a move as waiting for the U.S. market to do something here. Looks like the Swiss is already moving in preparation of it. This pre-market is probably taking its making its play. Also, you can see where we had the strong wick up, but now we're having a little bit of a lower highs, but it's still trading inside this range right here from this low. I'm going to ignore that first, that real big high, and then this range right here. I'm going to do, I'm take this one over to this one. Take this one up to here. Here's my secondary wedge that broke out of this whole thing. Here's an anchor. Here's a hit. I'm going to ignore this one. That just doesn't have a lot of merit in the scheme of things. That's just more like it's more like they were taking out stops. I'll use the anchor. Here's the mid hit, waiting for the third hit coming up and then breaking down. He'll test the bottom of the wedge, test the bottom, this trend line coming down, the bottom of the wedge. If this little area can hold, we should be good to go short. If not, it breaks. It's probably going to break to the upside and retest this again. I still like the idea, if you're not in this thing, to wait till it gets closed into the green area or close into this red area. Swiss is making a nice little move down, testing the bottom. So the Swiss now broke the bottom of the wedge. We'll see where it goes into here. This was the demand zone that we drew out earlier. Remember that? We had the supply zone, demand zone, broke out of the bottom of the wedge. I'd like to see a break through this demand zone before we're going to take it further short.
I just took it short.
You just took it short?
Yep.
Okay, and it may be good. It may be, that was a pretty strong move, and it looks like it still has some room to the downside.
There's enough strength on Swiss. Moving averages are in the right order. Little hook on a 15. No, you know. We'll see, I guess. I'm hungry. I need my daily bread.
I need to bake some new bread because mine went out in the compost. There's a nice little strong move down, nice little hook. Let's see if it's going to retest this. Moving averages are all really good. Let's see where we are in the 5 minute here. Nice break of this zone here. I can see it coming up and retesting the zone and then breaking back down again. Take some of this off of how's our yen pair doing here? Came up, retest the wedge, retested this. So right now that we can move this one down here, that's our third hit right there. Ignoring this intermediate wick. 1 minute, came up to the wedge, got some rejection on this 1 minute candle. Coming back down into the zone. Again, it's still playing inside this playground here. Meanwhile, back at the Swiss. Nice move down, nice little retracement back up.
Yeah, this might be the one.
This could be. Nice little hook up. Coming up, retesting the yellow.
Al, your middle chart is a 1 minute instead of a 5.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, a nice little drop, base, drop. May come back and retest into the base, into where this spacing area was, which is right in the middle of that zone that we drew earlier.
Yen's also starting to look a little better.
What is the yen?
Well, I haven't seen this many. I haven't seen this many wicks. I haven't seen this much
I think
wickiness
it's
on.
horrid.
I mean, this is insane what this one is doing today. I
Few
haven't seen
weeks,
this type of action in a long time.
few weeks ago, I would have already gotten out of the trade just out of boredom and impatience.
Well,
I do
this,
like the fact this thing's coming up. Let's see, we have 5 minutes, so it is all our moving averages are in the right direction. This is the green starting to spread away from the yellow. We had nice little hook coming up into the wedge, and a nice little drop base. Now, if this thing can go from here to here with a small little retracement, this thing could go. I'd be looking at possibility of here to here, coming up to. That's only 23%. If it can stay within that 30% retracement area, which is basically the bottom of where this zone is, then our target could be very much, could we be looking at target up down this area, about 90, 72 area, and maybe even lower than that. So I'm going to target this for right now. I could have sworn I had made that template on this. Take this off so we can see a little bit better. And where's our yen trade? Yen is still hanging in there. And the market's going to open up in about 9 more minutes. So I would expect we may see a nice move in about another 5 minutes or so.
which way? That's the question of the day.
I'm thinking it's going to go short. I'm still thinking it's going to go short. But then again, maybe
No,
not.
you're right. It's just being erratic. I really need to stay away from this pair.
I haven't seen this much wickiness of this pair. I can't remember the last time I've seen it this much.
Could it be that this is some kind of how do you say, some kind of aftermath from yesterday's big moves? Or
Could be.
wouldn't you say it has anything to do with it?
You know, I don't. Everything builds on everything else
Yeah.
over time. But maybe even looking at this overnight, there's still a lot of wicks in this all the way. I mean, this thing is. If you look at this, even at this 15-minute chart, look. I mean, there's just a lot of indecisiveness here. Well, I'm still going to stick with my plan. If it comes up here, I'm going long. If it comes down here, I'm going to stay short. Until then, I'm going to sit on my hands and do nothing. This is a doji right here, so there's a lot of. That's where that big move came up. Couldn't hold it. And when things are just so back and forth like this, it's not a bad time to just stay out of it unless you're already in it. Then you just play the hand that you took.
I don't know. I kind of think they're all misbehaving.
And maybe this is just a good time of the day to just not trade.
Well, I'm getting there. I've got one more trade. I'm going to manually close out, I think, this yen if it doesn't stop going wacky. And I think I'm
Well,
going to walk away.
the problem is I have to go in 50 minutes, and I won't be able to manage my trades as well as I can now. I
Yeah.
can manage them on my phone, but that's really inconvenient.
Yeah. The only other thing you do then is just put your stop, put your target in, and walk away
Yeah.
and wait and see what you get. Or just see where you can get the minimum amount of loss and just get to scale down your positions as best you
Yeah.
can to where it won't, no matter what
I'm
happens, it won't be a big deal.
I'm more thinking about taking a small loss before I leave rather than putting in my 7 pip stop and getting that hit.
And that's not a bad plan.
If I close my yen now, it's 4 ticks that I lose.
Are you still profitable for the week?
I I have my monthly goal set on 40%, and I reached 170 and 37% of that. Uh, do you?
So a 4 pip loss to have peace over the weekend would not be a bad thing to do, then would it?
Yeah. I mean, how can I explain this better? Yeah, there's my 40% monthly goal has been completed for 37%.
Wow,
So I
you're doing
already
well.
have about 50% for this month, while we're only in the second week of this month.
Well, then I think your decision should be pretty evident.
I just closed it.
All right, now it can drop.
No,
Now
please
that
don't.
Ruben's out, now that Ruben's out of it, we can.
No, the rubometer is not accurate anymore.
Actually waiting for me to get ahead before it does anything. Oh, the
I'm
US
sorry
yen.
to say, but I'm really hoping for it to go up now.
Now that's not nice.
No, it's not.
I'm just gonna let my chef open because I'm still pretty confident in that one. Let's see, where's 7 pip stop? It's there. Yeah, that should work.
I don't know about the rest of you, but this has been very disappointing for me this morning.
Well, it's been
Yeah.
disappointing for all. Yeah, it's been pretty quiet. It's like I said, we're done in about 2 more minutes. We'll be out of here, but maybe let it go another 5 minutes and see how this market opens up, and then we'll be out of here. I think it's just we're waiting right now for the U.S. market to open.
Huh. That's right. Maybe I should have waited a couple more minutes. But, well, take a very, very small loss.
Small losses are important.
Yeah. And I'm still profitable for the week. I'm profitable for the month. That's what I like about my FX book. It collects so many data and gives you so many different analysis. You can set daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly goals,
Yes.
and follow up quite good on your account that way.
Well, I finally closed down my US yen, both of them.
All right, now it can finally break.
Yeah, and it will. It will.
Well, we'll wait and see how this market opens up, and then I'll see what happens here.
Yeah, it's just been too weird for too long for my liking. All three pairs that we're looking at today have been very strange in their
Yeah,
behavior.
it really has been.
Yep.
Oh wow, look, the yen's trying to go up.
It can. It can.
We can now, right?
Yeah, we're out, Ava.
What do we care?
I'm
Uh,
waiting for you guys to get the pom-poms and bullhorns out.
no, because overall I took a hit for the day.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, so, but it's either that or wait and see what it's going to do, and I don't have a good feeling about what it's going to do, but we'll see.
I'm gonna leave my end trade open on my other account, my testing demo, just to see what will happen. I've put in my hard stop.
There's the market open at 9:30, 9:31, so should have a new candle here. Let's go on to our 5-minute chart and see how this thing is looking here.
Very much.
It's just coiling.
Right
But
now we have
what market
right
are
now-
you talking about, Al? Because it's already open for an hour and a half.
The U.S. market opens at 9:30.
Oh?
Yeah.
I thought it was, well, for me,
Like
2
just like 1
p.m.
minute ago, the U.S. market opens.
Yeah, it's the on whenever you look at any of those charts that show the overlap of the markets, it always shows that the U.S. market is open at 8 a.m. for some reason.
That's
Yeah.
the futures market, I think, opens at 8 a.m. But the U.S. stock market opens up at 9:30.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, that might be producing some bigger moves. I'm gonna be nice, and I'll hope for you, Al, that it will go down.
Oh, I
at the end,
appreciate that, Ruben.
because I'm still in a trade on my other account.
Well, right now we have here's the anchor, here's the hit. Now we have to bring this over here like this, bring this one up. So right now here's my hit. Now we're going to look for a retest, and if hopefully it's going to the third hit breaks it. If it bounces, then it's probably going to go up to retest this one. But here's our anchor up on the top side. Here we had, let's see, we're going to use it. I'm going to use that one because that's where it was.
Swiss is making a small 1-minute wedge again. Very small.
Came right up into that mid-range area that we drew up earlier.
Yep. It did. Yeah, it seems like your birthday streak is over, Al.
I think so. Yeah.
So it's your fault.
That's my fault. Yeah.
We shouldn't have sung for you.
Yeah. Oh, you sang. You should have sung every day for me. Is what you did. The problem is. Well, we're going to see. We don't know how this thing is going to go, but we're going to go ahead and shut this thing down. Glad everybody came this week. Hope everybody made a little bit of money this week. And we will see everybody on Monday at same time, 8 o'clock.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Yeah, have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend. See you on Monday.
Thanks, Ruben.
Good weekend, everybody.